everybody. I thought I would do a little video, just a little chat while I crochet video, showing you guys how I'm coming along with my blanket and just catch up with what's going on in my life. So as you can see, I am making quite a bit of progress on my blanket here. I'm coming right along with it. So I thought I would just work on it and chat and show you guys a little bit closer up how this is done and catch you up on what's going on in my life lately. So it's a really simple pattern to follow. It's very intuitive. All I'm doing are front and back post double crochets. And it's really easy to know where your hook's going to go and what you're going to do. Because the ones that are poking up to the front in the previous row, you're going to pull them down and do your stitch in the back. Okay? And the ones that are poking down in the back, you're going to pull them up and do your stitch on the front. Okay, so you're alternating to the back and you're alternating to the front, and then you go into the back and then you're coming up. Did I just mess that up? Nope. To the front, and then you're going to the back, and then you go into the front, and then you're going to the back. And now I'm getting towards the end of my row, and this is where it gets a little tricky. And because they're kind of on top of each other, and you really have to pay attention to what you're doing. So this one is poking to the back, so I'm going to pull it up to the front, and then my next to last stitch is poking up to the front, so I'm going to pull it down to the back. And my very last stitch on the row, I've got my little marker showing where that inside of that stitch is. For the very last stitch on the row, all you want to do is just a regular double crochet in the top of that chain 3 that was the first stitch of the row. Okay, you're not doing a front or a back post, you're just doing it straight into the top of that top chain, and that's how you end a row. All right, and to start the next row, all you're going to do is you're going to chain up 3, and I drop a marker into that, especially when I'm working with multiple strands, just so I know where my stitch is going to go. And then you want to flip it over. Okay, and pardon my squeaky chair. I still haven't replaced my squeaky old office chair. So yeah, my husband's company got new office chairs, and the when like the facilities crew were carrying them all downstairs, they had come over the PA and said anyone who wants a chair can take a chair, and so he grabbed a chair, and so that's what I'm using as my task chair. But I've been intending to replace it, but it's fine. It just squeaks a little. I've given it some WD-40, but it still squeaks. But I'll replace it eventually. It's a little annoying, but it works for now. So other than the squeaking, so what you do the next row, you start your row with just a chain 3 up, okay? And then you're going to start working back into the stitch pattern, your front and back post double crochet. And that first stitch after you chain up, technically the second stitch of the row, can be a little tricky because it's right there on the end, and you just have to be careful with those first few stitches that you're not getting anything crossed and you're not getting anything bunched up, and that your hook is going where it needs to go, and you're pulling your yarn where it needs to be. So that's it for starting the next row. All right, so we're going to move right along with this simple little pattern, and I'm going to just talk about how things are going with me. Like most of you guys out there in the world, we are following the stay-home order. The little town I live in is part of a huge metroplex, and we are going along with the county and the rest of the metroplex, and we're only leaving for necessary or essential business. So people that work in essential industries or people that have to run essential errands. And because my husband and I both have pre-existing conditions and risk factors, we're being really diligent about that. He is in an essential industry, and he is an essential worker within that industry. So he is still working full time, although he's working from home. He was able to pick up his equipment from his desk at his office and have everything he needs to do his job from home. So he has been working from home. And I'm a housewife, so I'm always working at home. The only thing I do outside of the home, I have a side hustle where I make and sell things. And mostly lately, I've been making these little crocheted hats that I have been mainly having other people sell at large festivals. I have some people that are vendors at big seasonal festivals, and they are buying them from me wholesale to turn around and, to use them to stock their booths and turn around and sell them outright. And then I've got one that I put hats on consignment at a huge festival. So I've got my big festivals that I sell through vendors. And then I sell directly the little hats and some jewelry and occasionally kaleidoscopes at little small local things, like little private events that have vendors, little tiny community festivals and little special interest festivals and little makers markets and events and things like that. So with festivals and events and markets all being postponed for the time being, I haven't been able to do anything like that. So I am looking into what I need to do to start selling online. I used to have an eBay store, and then I used to have an Etsy store. So I'm just probably going to, for now, reopen my Etsy store, and I'm also looking into other platforms. So I'm hoping to get at least my Etsy up and running by the end of the week or over the weekend. I know a lot of makers are really disillusioned with Etsy right now with some of their new policies. I'm such a small potatoes vendor that it doesn't really affect me, but I'm still looking into my options on other platforms. I know a lot of makers, really successful makers, have been moving on to other platforms, and yeah, I've been looking into those to seeing what it would take to get started up in some other places. But for now, I think I'm just going to reopen my Etsy store and see how that goes while I look into other options. So I've just been making my hats and packing them away. I have a little plastic mannequin head, little hat stand model thing that I display my hats on, but I can use it to take pictures of them. And I have a little light box. Actually, I'd had a tiny light box about the size of a shoebox that I would photograph jewelry in, and then I ended up getting one that was big enough to hold a mannequin head to get pictures of my hats. So I'm going to start getting some good pictures of my stuff and make sure my printer's up and running and everything's good to go. And I'm going to try getting some of my stuff, keeping my side hustle going instead of just crocheting hats and packing them in a box until festivals start back up again. I can at least try to bring in a little bit of extra cash on the side and keep my side hustle profitable. But that's a project for the weekend. So we've been kind of keeping a normal schedule. My husband has to get up, has to log into the system and start answering, you know, he has to be there to answer his phone and talk to people and get files done. So he's pretty much keeping his schedule. And I mean, you know, clothes have to be washed. House needs to be cleaned. Food needs to be cooked. So I'm staying up a little later and sleeping in a little later, but still getting my stuff done and doing a lot on little projects. And we have a couple other little things going. My husband and I got an AeroGarden, you know, one of those little plug and play, you know, countertop little gardens, you know, hydroponic or aeroponic, however they call it, little gardens. And I had been wanting an AeroGarden for years, but couldn't justify the cost. And the way I saw it was this year, normally every spring, Saturday and Sunday mornings, go out and run errands, and one of the errands always ends up at a garden center, and I end up browsing around buying plants, pots, soil, all that kind of stuff. And I can't do that this year, so I put the money I would have otherwise spent buying pots and plants and gardening goodies and put it towards an AeroGarden. And it seems like everybody had AeroGardens on sale for the past couple weeks. I know Amazon had some models on a really good sale a couple weeks ago, and that's how I got mine. And then AeroGarden.com was running a big sale. So we got this little AeroGarden with a herb garden, you know, mixed herb pods. So we started that Saturday, and we already have sprouts. It's only taken like 3 or 4 days to get sprouts. So I'm so happy with that. And I've got a little video I'm going to show, and I'll show updates on that. And then we're going to be planting some actual seeds. I'm going to do a smaller version of my container garden and plant some seeds I had already bought. So I'm going to probably do some videos on that too. So yeah, that's how things have been going. We're hanging in there. We're healthy and safe. We're just getting through it one day at a time. And I'll just keep catching up with you guys and showing you more progress as I make it. And I hope you guys are all taking care of yourselves and staying safe and healthy too. And I will be back. You're gonna get to see this video, and then you'll get to see a little video with my AeroGarden, and then I'll be back showing more stuff. So I'm around, and I'll be around. So everybody take care until I talk to you again.